All right, I want to teach you a couple really simple single palm changes. Now, single palm change comes from Bagua Zhang. It's shared by all styles of Bagua Zhang. Single palm change is one of the concepts that was trained and passed on by the founder of Bagua, Dong Hai Chuan. Single, double, flowing palm changes and the concepts that make Bagua. These were the core elements that Dong Hai Chuan passed on to Cheng Tinghua, Yin Fu, Liang Jinpu, and the rest of his first generation disciples. And so it was these concepts, single palm change, double palm change, that really drove the evolution of Bagua. And the freedom of these concepts, the fact that Dong Hai Chuan didn't lock these into specific forms, allowed for a lot of variation, a lot of expression, and for the practice to be woven together. So that means one thing has enough versatility and variety and aspects to it to be connected to the next thing, so that you can understand how single palm relates to double, relates to flowing body, relates to the other aspects of Bagua practice. And so it's something that we don't necessarily have to define super strictly. We can just define it simply. Single palm change means one change of the palms, okay? One hand has got one job, the other hand has got another, and they change. So right now, this simple version, I just pierce out, and there's my single palm change. I use really classical Bagua stepping. I'm gonna hook in, feel the weight shift, and I'm gonna find this turn of the waist, drive of the leg, and I'm gonna spear right through and back down. And in this version, I'm very intentionally using a spear palm where I bring my fingers together and spear through and then relax. So there's an opening and closing as well. So here I close and open. And I'm looking to connect with center. So when we walk our circle, to help us understand to walk the circle, we got to understand north, south, east, west. So here's straight in front, here's my east-west line. My Bagua arms, right, that is pushing the millstone, are sort of between these two spaces. Not here, not there, in between. And then when I go to pierce, I pierce towards my north. So now I'm straight. And as I start to shift, I will bring it with me past that line, so now it's in front of me. And so we have to bring more intention to how we are monitoring the hands. Now the hands are together, and all I do, single change. Pierce and through. Step, hook, coordinate hands and arms. Pierce, gaze through the tiger's mouth. And as you come here, you have to intentionally close with that foot. When you're here, you're open. You have to bring that leg through and close. Bring it with you, line up, pierce, and release. And if you're walking your circle, whatever size, it's just whenever you decide to do that closing step, you pierce right to the center, and you're out. Now we want that as we pierce, right? Goes together. So you bring the palm into the spear. This is gonna help us get more connection to the reach and the intention at the hand. So this is our first basic single palm. The next one we're gonna add on top of this, because these work really well together, comes from Liang style. This one is a Cheng style, okay? With a little bit of Yin style element to it, because in Yin style, they use this palm a lot. It's called the ox tongue palm, okay? For Liang style, we're gonna do this now. Now we take this hand and we lift it up over our head. Use your own head as the landmark. Place it down east or west. And now pierce right by the hand. Pierce. Bring it back towards center. And there you go. So now here, instead of changing it here, I lift it, place it down, have empty, full, and then hand and foot move together and back. And when I do this, watch my hands. I lift and they come to a spear. And then they spear through and release back to the palm. So as I lift, I'm bringing them to a spear and out. Now the other concepts that are there, classical Bagua concepts, rise, drill, fall, overturn. So this is rise and drill, fall, overturn, and we're ready to find hand and foot move together. Now in Bagua, because we're focusing through the palms, we can change how we interact with them. So I want you to watch. As I come here, now I can bring this over the top. I actually slice it over the top. So I feel it shear over my own palm. And I'm keeping the spear palm. Once you get used to, boom, the hand goes there. We can start to twine it into that position. You notice that? So I come here, and so now instead of this, as the spear goes out, I turn the spear and bring it down. Rise and drill, lock your spear in, turn your spear. And feel the turning bring you forward, connecting hands and feet. And this is single palm, okay? Getting everything working around the simple changing of the hands. So you learn to bring everything through the simple movement, right? These are the simple versions. Later on, we have more advanced versions. Everything still behind the hand. Everything behind this hand, okay? There's a lot of interesting single palms. All of these are versions of single palm. They're just bringing different movements, right, from the arms, but the intention is the same. Focus on the hands, use your whole space. Use your whole space. Notice the directions above the head, north, south, east, west, and move through those spaces with your movement before thinking about things like, let me grab this and flip them over and smack them in the face and do this and do that, right? Those things are there once the movement's there, right? But we want the movement to be driving itself, right? Just for the movement's sake, so that we can then have more agency on adding those applications, adding those techniques to it over time. So as you're playing with this, notice now, if you're using your hands and your fingers to direct the movement, which is a Bagua concept, you can play around with it. So when I'm here, I can lift up and go way over here and pierce, right? I can lift up and take a few circles and pierce, you know? I can switch directions whenever I want and pierce. And then once you get the feet freed up a little bit more, you're gonna be able to start coming here, and the hands and the feet are communicating. Like that. Because in many ways, Bagua works off of patterning. Just 1, 2, the more that you're doing that in connection, in rhythm, with clear, simple intention, the more the body is gonna look to just move better, perform better. And that's the goal with Bagua. Remember, that's the big goal with Bagua, is to get us moving better. Feeling our Kung Fu, feeling our physicality, feeling our skill more connected to our just basic human movements of walking around, and feeling it in our hand, feeling more intention with our practice. And that usually comes through, in my opinion, locking in to the core principles that found the art. Opening, closing the palm, piercing, right? Having your intention move through the fingers, reach through the fingers. Allow those to drive your practice.